Welcome to Revoicing the Future, a Women of NAMM podcast, presented by AKG. Just as one revoices a chord, Revoicing the Future creates a completely new perspective on the invaluable notes that make up the whole. It will uplift women's voices in the music products industry, which have earned their time to be the root of the chord. Once a month, you can catch productive and valuable conversations with women working in manufacturing, retail, the nonprofit sector, music education, touring, and overall women who inspire us. Together, we can help shape the future of our industry, one interval at a time. This podcast is co-produced and edited by Natalie Morrison, Stephanie Lamond, and Julia Olsen. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Revoicing the Future. I'm your host, Natalie Morrison.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you for tuning in, as always. Hi, Steph.
Hi, I'm here also. Hello, everybody. We're stoked that you are here as well.
How are you doing? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm just starting production on my new album, which is very exciting. Have my first meeting with my producer. It's going to be wonderful. Yeah, I'm stoked. This is a bunch of songs. The theme is healing, doing a lot of stuff, talking about ancestral stuff like storytelling, folk songs, all that, which ties into, I also just got back from a long trip over in Ireland. Did a lot of hiking and all that, but I also was there to do a vocal retreat where I learned keening. If anybody wants to go down a rabbit hole, you should listen to the episode of This Mythic Life with Sharon Blackie, who interviews my teacher, Mary McLaughlin, and she talks about keening, and it's the ancestral art of these songs, right, that got the soul to the other side. So she's been great to keep these going. It's like a really deep folk oral tradition, and it was unreal. We sang in pastures and in things. I was really living my best life. So,
oh my God.
If anybody else too has any really, really niche musical loves and interests, please send them our way because we can all nerd out together.
Everyone should subscribe to Steph's YouTube channel, Lucky Lamond.
Yes, please do. Thank you. That would be great. As we artists try to make a living. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, and I'm putting a lot of fun stuff on there. I'm singing a lot in nature on camping trips. And I hope it's also just a good time rather than just like a smash that, subscribe. If you don't like it, you don't need to keep following me, but just check it out. I think it's fun. Yeah, and it's just Lucky Lamont. You can find me. And it's got my album and other stuff on there. So fun. But also, let's circle back around because Natalie has some news.
Yeah, I do. I have some news. As this episode airs, I have started a new job.
Changes.
Yes. So I am the senior segment marketing specialist for music education at Yamaha.
Woohoo!
Shout out to Lisa McDonald and Heather Mansell, my incredible team that I'm just so excited that I get to work with.
Yay!
And part with that comes with me moving.
We're getting her on the West Coast, everybody. We did it. We did it.
I'm leaving New York, y'all. This is not a joke.
Yeah. For a chapter.
New chapter.
Maybe you'll be back one day, but for now, West Coast is calling.
I'll be back. My whole family is over here, so.
Oh, yeah. Seasonally, you'll be back.
Seasonally. But yeah, that's my life update.
So cool. But I'm so excited for you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Evolution, new chapters, new things. You're going to kill it. It's perfect for you.
That means a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was tailored for you. It's just perfect.
It's been a serendipitous moment. It's been a journey of a month.
Yeah, the emotional upheaval of that.
This episode got another side of Natalie.
Yeah. It was just fun. So anyway, we're super excited for you to also listen to this episode. So we'll get into it more. I can't wait to hear more about the role as you get more into it. And it's fascinating. It's just a perfect segment for you in this music world, I think. So very, very exciting.
Thanks, Steph.
We'll have to have you tell us all about it as we learn about new music industry careers.
Yay!
Today, though, you are going to be hearing, and I'm just going to rattle off her bio because it is perfect. One of my favorite music industry people, first music industry people I ever knew, from Piper Payne. So she is a mastering engineer based in Nashville, Tennessee. She's known for her dedication to audio quality and equality, which is true. After moving her mastering studio to Nashville, she ventured into vinyl manufacturing. So she opened Physical Music Products, PMP for short, which through Piper's innovations has set industry-leading turn times and quality benchmarks. As a former national trustee of the Recording Academy and co-chair of the Peony Wing Steering Committee, Piper actively promotes diversity and inclusion in the industry. With a background in music and a focus on technical excellence, she approaches mastering and manufacturing as a blend of feel and precision. It's really rad. We get into a lot of what mastering is. Piper shares her expertise in mastering and recording as an esteemed audio professor and frequent guest lecturer, and her impressive discography includes notable artists like Janis Ian, Madame Gandhi, Dolly Parton, The Go-Go's, and more. So she's just really incredible. And on this, you'll hear Natalie really nerding out about the intricacies of vinyl printing.
Yes.
I hope you all find that as fascinating as she did. I mean, I found it fascinating too, but Natalie was like, you must tell me everything about this. And she does.
If people don't know this about me, I'm a big vinyl lover. Like going to a record store and sitting on the floor going through the dollar record bins is my happy place. So
it's a good happy place to have. Yeah. So we get deep into that. And then also a lot of what she's learned from mastering and then from starting the vinyl business and then how those two intersect, like what she's learned from both. And it's so interesting, these corners of the industry that she has really made an incredible niche for herself in. So, and I think no matter what you do, you can learn something from her journey because it touches so many facets of the industry. And she's just rad. Oh, we get into a little bit of AI as well.
Oh yeah, we do. Oh
that's
yeah.
really exciting. Yeah, just a great conversation. And we were all just like at the end of our day, just hanging. So I hope you feel as if you were hanging with us and enjoy meeting. You've probably met her before, though. She's a mainstay at NAMM. You've definitely seen Piper before. So if you haven't, too, check out some of her panels and stuff. She was on the Careers in Music panel last year that my dad did. My dad, Joe Lamond, ex-president and CEO of NAMM. Currently living his best life in retirement. So
yes.
Yeah, so you've seen Piper around, and I know if you love her episode, you should go and say what's up to her because she's just one of the best supporters of women entering music. So I hope you love it. And Natalie, any final thoughts before we send them off?
Just sit back, relax, grab a beverage.
Yeah, get a bevy, get a snack. Have fun.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Ta-ta for now. Hi, Piper. Welcome to Revoicing the Future. We're so excited to have you join us this month.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So we start every episode. We want to just get a rundown of who you are and how did you get into the music industry?
Sure. Well, my name is Piper Payne. I'm a mastering engineer and I own a vinyl record manufacturing facility. I live here in the Nashville area with my wife and 3 dogs, and currently my mother-in-law is staying with us upstairs. So you may hear some of that. The Braves game is on, and they really like the Braves. So
there you go.
I ended up here in Nashville through getting an opportunity to work with a gentleman named Pete Lamond. He had a company called Infrasonic, which was based in LA. And then when he moved out here to the Nashville area, he invited me to come out and move here. I was working in the Bay Area, had built my career mastering records there, got involved in a very small record pressing facility just as like an auxiliary partner, and then ended up getting this opportunity to move out here to Nashville, came out, bought a house, chilled out a little bit. And then I think I gave myself maybe, 2 months or so of just like settling in a little before I started thinking about what it would look like to have a record plant again. And my first inkling was like, no, don't do it. But I started getting approached by potential funders and I got to the point where I couldn't say no too much more. And so I kind of took the plunge. And after about 1.5 years of building, we opened up physical music products in February of 22. So we built out through the pandemic. We built out for 12 record presses, and we've got 3 operational automatic presses, and we can do 140 gram, 180 gram, and 7-inch records of all types. And we've worked with some of the biggest artists in the world and some of the folks that are still up and coming. And that's kind of how I built my mastering career, is taking care of the independent folks, independent artists. And then that, for better or worse, trickles up to larger artists. And I've been able to build a pretty good career doing this.
Yeah. And as everybody grows, has that been your experience that everybody's kind of supporting each other? And then as they grow, you kind of all grow together? Has that been your experience?
Yeah, I would say so. Obviously, there are some folks that decide to make one record and they get it out of their system and they're like, I don't know that I want to do this for the rest of my life. But there are also so many artists that, start out with one single and then do an EP and then a full length and then make vinyl and then, do it again. And I used to think I could kind of pick out who was going to have the staying power for the music industry, or even as an engineer, like a young engineer, I'd see them come in and go like, okay, they may not be ready for this, but I've been really pleasantly surprised sometimes. I just try and meet everybody where they're at and try and support everybody the best I can. And that's really what has happened for me in the music industry as well. I feel generally very loved, very supported.
Hell yeah. This is also probably a really good point too for anybody listening that doesn't know what mastering is or why one wants their track to be mastered. Can you give us like the highest level for anybody that's not an audio?
Certainly. So mastering is a part of the album production process. Singles also apply. And basically what we're doing is we're taking what is a collection of mixes. So someone in the studio like you guys have recorded and mixed all of these instruments and balanced them against each other. And you've created this song, a 2-mix. Well, now a mastering engineer takes a group of songs and we create an album. So we're listening for problems that the mixing engineer may not have caught. We're also working only in our space. You're watching me sitting in my mastering studio where every record gets mastered. And so I have one system that I'm making all of my decisions about how to process those songs through. And so we are a step of the quality control process where we're sort of listening to everything that's out there and we're catching problems because this is a system that we know so intimately and we work on every single day. And we're trained to listen and hear problems and then basically fix them so that they never become issues out in the real world. So things like clipping or distortions or pops and ticks, this song has too much bass, this song's too purple, that song's too plaid. And we're making adjustments, basically balancing the entire album against itself. And then creating a finished master that is to be released and is ready to go out into the world in prime time and is the beginning of the manufacturing and release process. So our job really is taking this group of songs and creating a new format for the album, either coming from tape and going out on digital, coming in on high-res digital, going out and to be cut into lacquer for vinyl production, or just simply high-res files for CD replication. And we're creating that finished product to release. We're finding issues. It's the quality control section. We're putting in the metadata, all of the information about the files that you're going to see pop up in your CD player, et cetera. And then we're also helping the artist through the beginning of the release process, because you'd be amazed at how many artists, actually how many mastering engineers even don't even know what happens to your song after you upload it to a distributor or you make a CD. Like a lot of people don't even know how those things are made. Steph, I was kind of raised by mastering wolves, like old school dudes who were like, all right, we're going to go see a glass master get made. Whether I wanted to or not, I know everything there is to know about the creation of the actual physical product or the actual distribution, the aggregation of the files and where they go. And I know each streaming service, that has a human input and steps you through and, does all the licensing and the copyright and the royalties and all that stuff. I mean, a good mastering engineer is going to be able to help you navigate as an artist or someone who's releasing something for the first time. They're going to be able to help you navigate all of those crazy things that make it difficult for you to monetize your music and make a living. I'm going to go like, do you have an ISRC? Have you registered with Sound Exchange? Have you registered with a PRO? How are you doing your basic housekeeping and making sure that you can actually monetize your art?
And what a good reminder that it's not the place to skimp out on if you're an artist putting something out. Like, so important.
My 7-year project with Waves Audio, we released the automatic mastering system called Waves Online Mastering.
Oh,
congratulations.
My gosh. That's amazing.
We've been working on this for a really long time, and it's an online mastering service.
Yeah.
And we use AI technology to help us make decisions on how we're going to process the audio. But the one thing that I keep hearing over and over again, which is very validating, was we built this to master a record the best that a computer could do as if it were me. And so this is not the way that most of these other systems work. A lot of them will analyze a song, optimize the loudness, basically pin the meters as much as possible and even out the frequency spectrum and then call it a day. We actually did this to be the most musical version of it possible. And so we spent 7 years modeling my masters and building databases of my masters. And then we built an algorithm to be able to handle, once we did pull it apart using AI technology, we pull it apart for tempo, chord progression, instrumentation, and key. And that's how we decide where to put the different filters, for instance, because every time you master a song, it's a different key. So you're going to have a different filter spot, right? Things basically like that. And people just hear AI mastering and they're just like, oh, it must suck. And also, I hate everything. Also, I'm a sad mastering engineer that can't get any work
also,
myself.
It's taking my job.
And it's taking my job, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, they've been doing this for 10 years. We have not dipped. In fact, the day this thing came out, somebody literally called me for a gig and said, I don't want to use the service. I just want to use you. Like, this is how this works. Like, I can't tell you how many records I've remastered that were originally put out on one of the first services, which I won't name, but we all know who they are.
Yeah.
And I can't even tell you how many times I've been approached to remaster something that I was originally passed over for this online service. And I'm just like, man, anybody that's using this, God bless them, they're not your clients, so chill out a little bit.
Yeah, well, it reminds me, because now I'm working with Brad, your mutual friend too, Brad Dollar out in Nashville, but
Brad Dollar, make you holler.
Yeah, his thought, just like, I mean, I've been hearing this from a lot of people, but the last place I heard it was him, just that it's actually such an exciting time to be really good at what you do as a human, because what you do becomes so much more valuable when there's those kind of options, exactly what you just said. So it's living that, which is fascinating, as everybody in the music world freaks out about AI in different capacities. Like, it's a tool that can make people more creative if you use it and like take time,
At the very least, it's gonna do a few things. Yes, it may allow some people that cannot afford mastering to be able to master and release their songs. So what? Like, is that such a bad thing? Two, they're going to get better as an artist once they've heard their song out there and released. I mean, the first time you had something mastered, did you not elevate as an artist immediately?
Yeah.
You hear it out there, you're like, okay,
real.
I got that done. Now I can start working on my craft and my songwriting. Like, it's done, it's out. Like, don't think about it, just go, right? And three, there are amazing AI tools to help us actually pull things apart and make better decisions about how we process it as humans. And all I did was build a hot-rodded Waves plugin set. Like, is it really that bad? It's listening to databases of mixes and masters that I've worked on for the last decade and making decisions about how to set the plugins. Like, why is that so hard?
You heard it here first, pal.
I really love it. It's just so authentic.
It's just like, 4 days of getting beat up over this on the internet.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all my lady friends, every single one of them has written to me and like, congratulations, kick ass, killer, like first big mastering Waves artist, first big signature series plugin thing. Like, it's not really a plugin, started out as a plugin, but everybody knows I've been working on this forever. Like, they're just excited for me. So we created a thing that will master the song, but so much more of mastering is all of those other things that I just took me 10 minutes to tell you about all of it. It's not replacing anybody.
Yep, exactly.
Just enhancing the experience.
Yes.
So walk us through the transition, which we know you're still in, of moving from studio owner to product company owner.
And it's like a fluid day-to-day back and forth.
Yeah. What was useful for you?
I mean, for me, I think understanding that mastering and most audio applications, if we're in this to make a living, we're a service business. Okay. So no matter what, at the end of the day, if I have a customer or a client who's not happy, no matter what it is, whether it's my fault or not, I still have to make sure that they're happy or that I'm serving the project and serving their art in the best way possible. And so even if they send me something that I don't think sounds very good, if they're happy, fine. As long as it's technically correct and ready to release and doesn't have any major flaws that I would be horrified about, send it out. Some of those skills, or I guess some of those understandings, are transferable to making a physical record. I told you about what mastering is. Like, I can give you a quick overview of how a vinyl record gets made.
Please do, for the vinyl record lover in the room. I have a whole collection on this side of my apartment.
Aw.
Yes, me too, man.
So a vinyl record, everyone can probably imagine that in their mind's eye, what a record looks like. It's a circle disc. It's got grooves on the A side, and you flip it over and you got grooves on the B side. You've got a center label on each side as well, which usually clearly identifies the side, the artist. Sometimes there's some artwork on it. And then you have the sleeve that the record goes into. You have the album jacket that the record goes into, which is a harder cardboard. And then you have usually a shrink wrap or a sticker and things like that. So when you go to actually make a record, it's not just that we're going to press this record. It's all the things that happen before we press it and all the things that happen after we press it. That's really ties the whole thing together. It really makes it like when you're a chef, you are spending so much time prepping. And then, yes, you're spending X amount of time just cooking the dish and plating it. And then so much more of the experience for your customer is about the time that they're spending in the restaurant, having fun, drinking, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
So the actual pressing of the record, though, is the thing that everybody thinks is so awesome and sexy. I think that cutting a good master, the electroplating process is amazing. The inspection and the assembly process, to see it all come together and then get boxed up and put on a pallet and shipped out the door, that's my favorite part. But the way that a record actually gets pressed is it's considered an extrusion molding process. And if you've ever seen a toy get made or a milk carton get made, those are different types of molding processes. Basically, what we're doing is we're warming up plastic, PVC, just like what's in your drains in your house. But it's a very specific formulation of PVC, polyvinyl chloride. And we are basically creating a warm, we call it a biscuit. So you're creating this warm little puck. It looks like a hockey puck on black vinyl. And we're extruding that through a little nozzle, and it looks like hot toothpaste coming out. I'm pantomiming all of this for the ladies on.
Y'all can't see, but it's very descriptive.
I'm trying to explain this for someone who can't see me. And we create this puck of vinyl, and the puck of vinyl gets put into the middle of a hydraulic press. And that press, the molds are flushed with steam. And then the press closes and it gets 2,000 pounds per square inch of hydraulic pressure. And it's held there at that pressure. And then we have steam flowing through the mold. So it causes the vinyl to flow and fill the grooves of the stamper. And the stamper is a negative of the lacquer that I cut as a mastering engineer. So we cut a master lacquer, one for each side of the album. If it's an A side, you get one, B side, you get another. If there's a double LP, you get a C and a D side as well. So we cut 4 masters. We're taking the audio that's coming from the mastering console, playing from the console or a tape machine. It's feeding a lathe. The lathe is cued, if it has a specific type of pitch system, is cued with a bit of the exact same sound, but it's hit ahead of time. And so that is kind of priming the cutter head to be able to advance at a specific speed or slow down or speed up. Basically, you're covering more area on the record depending on what the program material is. So if there's a lot of bass, it's going to open it up and cut it a little bit wider and deeper. And you're going to have more, what we call more land between the grooves in the spiral as it's advancing toward the center. And it's being cued by the pitch system that's looking ahead and listening to the audio. So we know how to maximize the amount of program content on that disc based on how we've, sequenced the album and also how the pitch system is reacting, almost like an auto cruise control when you're driving down the highway.
That's so
I got to pass this truck, so I'm going to speed up and I'm going to slow back down a little bit. I'm going to open up, I'm going to close down, I'm going to advance faster, forward faster, slower. And you have a cutting stylus that's literally chipping out this nitrocellulose lacquer that's been laid over the disc. So then when that's all done, when the A side is done, we put on a brand new blank lacquer and we cut the B side. Those 2 discs, the A side and the B side, go through electroplating process, which is they call it plating, but electroprocessing, electroforming. And you're making a metal negative of the grooves that I cut. Those are now peaks on a metal negative, which is the metal master. You can make lots and lots of records from one lacquer by making extra generations of negatives. Or you can just do one and have it be super high fidelity and put that on the press, but it's really dangerous. But basically that's the stamper, and it's a negative of the lacquer master that I cut. And so you get one stamper on the A side, usually on the bottom mold, one stamper on the B side, usually on the top mold. And then that's what squeezes when the hydraulic press closes. It squeezes that vinyl under that hydraulic pressure and the steam filling the cavities of the mold. And it's causing that plastic to run and fill all the technically peaks, but create the grooves in the finished disc. So you're closing it under pressure, filling all the cavity of the record. And then when the press is fully closed and under pressure, and we've decided we have enough of the spread going, we turn the cold water on. So we flush the molds again now with cold water to get that plastic to set. And we want it to set in a specific rate. We don't want to set too fast because it'll shock the plastic and it'll cause dishing or cause it to be too brittle, or will cause a noise on the record. It'll cause the plastic to not cure in the right way. We don't want to have too much cold because then it will cause the plastic to fuse to the nickel stamper and rip the stampers out of the press. You don't want it to be too warm because then when the press opens, you'll have what's called stitching. You'll have issues with, they look like little Velcro plastic bits trying to stay on the stamper, or you'll have warped records. So there's all kinds of crazy things that can happen just in that 20-ish seconds of the cycle time of making that record. And then you got to do it over and over and over again, no pun intended. But once you've kind of gotten into the groove of the pressing, you got your cycle time set up, you got all your PVC is good, colors running right. Every color sounds and runs different. And every press reacts a little bit differently. And for instance, like our cooling system, most cooling systems, you can only cool so much based on what the temperature and the dew point is outside. The temperature of steam is constant and the hydraulic pressure is constant. And if we make black records all day, every day, that's pretty much constant, but the water temperature is going to constantly be fluctuating depending on the time of day as you're cooling.
Interesting.
So there's a lot that goes into it. So then once we've pressed that record, we flush with cold water, usually for anywhere between 10 and 15 seconds, depending on what's going on in the atmosphere that day. We open the press. The record now has, it looks like when you make waffles, you have a little bit that spills out over the sides. We do that on purpose because there's actually little grippers that hold on to the side that we call that flash. So it holds on to the very outside of the record so you don't touch any of the groove area or damage the record. And that moves it around inside the automatic press and it moves it back to the carriage. And then we close the top and spin the record against the knife and it cuts off all that flash and makes a nice edge on the record. And then we pick it up again with little grippers, little mechanical grippers, and we move it and drop it on a stack. And by the way, while all that's happening, we have 3 other records being made inside the press. So it's kind of crazy. I can send you a video for you if you want to see a video of it.
Please. And we can link it too.
Yeah.
If you have like a YouTube of it. You do. I've seen this before.
Yes. Oh my God. I would love to see that. Just for my own curiosity, as you're pressing vinyl, do you prefer it to be the black disc, or when people decide, I want a clear record or a red polka dotted record, like, is that more frustrating?
No, we enjoy it. I mean, we're one of the few plants that can do like really crazy splatters and customs and stuff. Just because the way that our presses are set up, we can interrupt the automatic cycle and just put, accent colors or half and half records. We just, it just dropped today. We just pressed, as far as I know, we're the only plant doing it. We just pressed some human cremains into an album. Yeah.
I've heard of that. Oh, wow.
To be honest, it's just like, we got asked to do it. I said, are you sure no one else wants to do it for you? She said, I've called 6 other plants in the United States and no one will do it for me. Will you consider it? It's an amazing album, actually. Killer sound. Her husband and her had a band. There were 2 other members and he passed away. He had a long bout with cancer and passed away. You look like you're going to cry.
She's had all day also. Okay? She might actually cry.
So anyway, Sean passed away and the band finished the album production that they were working on when he passed away. And his longtime partner and wife wanted to have a few mementos just for the family members and for the band members, just with Sean.
That's really special.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So we did up a bunch of, they're clear red. They're like a translucent clear red. So we did up a bunch of clear red records. And then when at the very end of the run, we applied his ashes to the records and the stampers. We had to kind of develop a technique to do this.
Yeah.
So that we didn't end up with the ashes burning into the stamper or something or hurting the stampers and stuff. But we actually figured out a really amazing way to do it. And so shout out to Cliff for coming at me with that technique.
Cliff.
But yeah, it's it was actually a really amazing experience, and we have it, videotaped for the family that we can share with them and stuff.
That's cool.
What an honor.
That is beautiful.
Huge honor. So anyway, we like doing custom stuff. We like doing all kinds of weird projects and stuff.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Natalie, there's like black is a color. on, as far as records go, I mean, it just happens to be kind of the most like ubiquitous record color. But, we probably, at this point, we're probably pressing around 50% different colors and splatters and 50% black. When we first started the plant, we had access to a ton of black. So I was at a cheaper rate. So I was doing a lot more black than color, and also because we had to kind of learn how to do it properly and stuff too. But yeah, I mean, every batch of compound runs differently. Every color runs differently. It's all, you got to kind of figure it out as you go. You got to taste as you go.
And cool how different it sounds like every plant must be. Like it's such a unique, everything has its own stamp and flavor and, personality. I guess.
I wish that I could have just hired someone to come in and build the plant for me, but those people are very similar to lacquer cutters. Those people are very few and far between. If they are available, they tended to be shysters. Ran into a few of those. If they're not available, they're just, they're obviously working or too expensive or dead. So the people that help build the record industry and build the plants and keep the plants running that we had, in the 70s, 80s, and even into the early 90s are really no longer, or if they're still around, they're, basically sitting in a lazy boy chair and making sure everything still kind of works right. On the plant floor. Yeah.
So this is kind of like the resurgence as vinyl has its, new birth in the last handful of years. You're kind of having to reinvent the wheel a little bit, like the infrastructure passed a little bit.
I had to figure it out as I went. And I had lots of folks that came at me and wanted to help me, and I would give them a chance and try it out, and then realize that like I learned more from a Google search than they were able to tell me, and a lot of it is the record pressing itself. Like, that was hard to figure out. And I had early on, what was supposed to be a really good operator helping me get the presses up and running and help me learn how to press a good record. Because I had been a partner to plant. I built this plant, but I didn't know about actually pressing a good record. Every press operates differently. And my presses are from the 70s and the 50s. Like they're not brand new. It's like someone, hands you the keys to a vintage Mustang, is like, here, go drive across the country. Like, where do you even start? So multiply that by 8. And that's what I had on my hands. And I also had to like literally build the mechanics shop to be able to service these presses, be able to drive the presses with the boiler system, the water system, the air system, the vacuums, all of it. And then all the rest of the infrastructure for manufacturing, period. Hire and train a staff, all while trying to fund this thing with me and 2 partners. So it's been a lot, but we're here.
Yeah. And just fascinating too, coming from the audio world. It's a similar kind of entrepreneurial spirit, I feel like, but it's totally different. But it's the same energy, maybe. It's starting with the same hustle and drive, but it's a totally different learning curve.
Just hard-headed enough to just keep going.
Yeah, it will happen.
It will happen, whether I make it happen or not. And funny enough, like the first plant I was involved in early on, there was that same spirit of it will happen, whether, I have to make it happen or not. Like, but with that same spirit, they got themselves into a lot of financial trouble.
Yeah.
So
it has to be paired.
I had to be very careful about like, all right, am I doing this? Am I doing it for the right reasons? Am I doing this in the right way? And, how hard can I push before it breaks?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, and real quick, was that original plant in the Bay Area or was that in Nashville once you'd moved? So with your move, something that I've heard a lot from my dad over the years is just like advice that he gives people too, is like move where it's happening, quote unquote, like put yourself in the situation where it's all happening. And so was that big for you going to Nashville? Like, would you say that that's so important and true to like put yourself in the center of the things, and especially with this plant too? Like, what has your experience been like, and what would you say for someone mulling that, like where they should be, whether they should put themselves in a situation that's more industry heavy, or where's the right home for them?
For me, I think, I kind of built my career in small markets. My first job out of grad school was working for Bob Katz down in Florida. And although he's a huge engineer, it was a small music market. And then I went up to Canada for a while. I ended up in San Francisco for a while. San Francisco is like, it's a smallish music market. It's not tiny, of course.
But it's not
like,
a
it's
Nashville or
not
LA.
LA,
Yeah.
Nashville, or New York, really. And even though it's, kind of the biggest one that's not LA, Nashville, or New York, there's a gap. Okay. So
Yeah, our infrastructure is not all in place to support. Yeah.
and I say that lovingly because like the spirit of making records in San Francisco
Oh yeah.
is what really, I think, built the foundation for my career and the way that I interact with artists and like the way that I deal with, running a service business now too, is just because the way that people treat each other in San Francisco for the most part is just like, we're going to be friends at the end of the day, no matter what. So like either we can work together or we won't. And that's cool. But I think I really learned how to be a good person and a good engineer and how to take care of my customers and my clients by coming up in these slightly smaller markets. But, I won't lie. Like I grew up on country music. I love that. Give me some Brooks and Dunn, give me some Reba, give me some Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. Like I love it.
That makes me so happy.
And,
I did not know that.
oh my gosh. Yeah. I love me some young country. Oh my God.
Yes.
So anyway, getting this, like I knew all of these amazing people in the Nashville area just by virtue of what we do. We're traveling all over the place, right? Like, tons of people in Nashville. I knew tons of people in Nashville and having this opportunity to come here, yes, it put me into a much bigger pool of opportunity. It was also like the place that I really wanted to be because I had opportunities to move to New York. I had opportunities to move to LA. And when I had the opportunity to move to Nashville, it was just like, all right, that feels right.
It just felt right.
That feels right.
Your home versus just an industry choice.
Yeah.
Like, that's important.
Yeah. And also like totally random. So I grew up in Michigan and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but like I had literally like 2 weeks before Pete made me the offer, like I had lost my dad.
Oh.
And it was a very specifically weird time because I was suing this other company that I had worked for, the other pressing plant. And I was feeling like in the Bay, it was like, all right, I'm working with lots of people. I love them. I feel like at this point in my life, like if I leave here and they say, I'm not your client anymore because you left, like, what was I doing here for the last 10 years? Like I felt secure enough, I guess, to be able to make a big leap and move to another market. And still to this day, now 4 years later, I still get most of my work from the Bay Area. And I love that. So many folks that I still work with are still living there or have dispersed from there or even have moved to Nashville, but they're people that these relationships originated nearly a decade ago in a lot of cases. So I would say like, yes, make a big leap. Don't be reckless, obviously. Like don't go someplace where you're going to starve. I was very lucky to every time I moved from my career coming up, I was very lucky to have some basic resources to make sure I didn't starve and make sure my rent was paid. But like, I still had to hustle and still had to work my ass off. And, so if you're going to move someplace, be prepared to work, but also be prepared to take the opportunities when they come. Because even moving from Canada to San Francisco, that was a big leap. And moving from San Francisco to Nashville was a big leap. And, I felt secure enough to do it, but I think anybody could really.
Yeah.
And should.
Yeah. Well, and I like the thought with smaller markets that I think for me too, coming up not in an LA or someplace like San Francisco helped me, like gave me the space to figure out who I am more so rather than like what the industry might have wanted me to be if I would have thrown myself right into one. And I wonder maybe if that's the case with you, like you're able to, in these smaller markets in the beginning, really get a style and your own self going. And then you go in and you know exactly who you are when you go to a Nashville and you're like, this is me, this is what I'm doing. And that's just set.
I think you just, it's a better opportunity to grow organic, lasting relationships. Because not that the stakes aren't as high, that's not really the right way to put it, because every single thing I touch, every single time I sit down, whether it's a well-known artist or not, I still treat it in exactly the same way with respect and reverence and just wanting to do the best I can by the project. But it definitely meant that like the pressure wasn't quite as high to perform. And so I think for me, I learned in a different way and I learned how to like really push a master as far as it needed to go that when I did then get out into bigger markets or started getting calls for bigger records, I was more prepared. Like, cause I had better training. Like I was just more conditioned to, to be able to deliver a really good product quickly. Yeah. Where I think if I had maybe moved to Nashville almost right away or within a couple of years of moving to San Francisco, I don't think I would have made it. Like I would not have been ready for Nashville music.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. So I'm going to switch gears for a second.
Okay.
So you constantly are giving back, whether through panels and mentoring. Why is it so important to you to invest in the greater community?
Part of it is I feel indebted to the folks that helped me come up. I just want to pass it along, Part of it is because I see that there's a lot of things wrong and I want to make sure that people learn stuff the right way. So a little bit of it is like selfless a little bit, and some of it is like I feel indebted. And the other part is that like I just believe in passing information forward. I think that, and this is totally more like existential than you probably are meaning to ask me, but
No,
like,
I love it.
I just believe that people are very intelligent and that if you push them, they will go further. Mm-hmm. And I just want that, I guess, for humanity. Or at least whoever's around me, like my community,
Your corner
and I'm just
of
like,
humanity.
I'm just an amazingly social mastering engineer, and most mastering engineers aren't. And I just like to talk to people. I just had a panel at Americana Fest. It's like, just got back.
Out.
So
shout out.
But yeah, I think part of it is like, there's a lot of bullshit out there. And I, to a point, like I don't like spend my time on Facebook talking about all the things I don't agree with, right? I don't have time for that. And I also just, for me, I came up at a time where I didn't have as bad of a time coming up as, I'll just say it, as a woman in the industry, as folks that came up before I did.
Predecessors.
Yeah. Leslie Ann Jones, Lenise Bent, Susan Rogers, Darcy Proper, Mandy Parnell, all of, Jessica Thompson, all of these folks that were in the, either just a few years older than me up to, a lot older than me, that made it so that I didn't have to work as hard, but I still had to work hard. I was one of only 4 women in my entire program in college, the entire program. And I had a couple of experiences early on where I felt like I had to prove my worth to a dude who definitely wouldn't have had to prove his worth, or that I got talked over in a class when I knew the right answer. And that guy over there just crowded around the console and definitely shouted out the wrong answer several times. But like, just in general, we're going to always have to work twice as hard unless something changes. We're gonna have to work twice as hard to get the same distance unless something changes. And I feel like at the very least, if I can inspire women coming up, or I can just show them like, hey, just be hard-headed enough and push hard enough and just have the energy to go, you'll be fine. Yeah. I feel like that's why I do this.
I was reading an interview as I was prepping for this that you did, and I think you said something along the lines of, I can't wait for the day when people stop asking me what it's like to be a woman in a studio. I just was like, yes, I feel that.
Yeah. I will say that we get asked the question, what's it like to be a woman in audio, a hell of a lot less today than we did 5-10 years ago.
That's beautiful.
Now that I think about it, like I'm thinking back to myself now, like there was one thing I did not too long ago where I was asked the question, but not in a way that was so overt like that. It was like actually a fairly, well thought out question. I was like, this feels familiar.
But I'm intrigued.
I'm going to answer it.
New angle.
Yeah. But yeah, it's actually the frequency of that question is definitely, maybe other people have read that article and don't want to ask.
No, but that's huge. And it's so important with, right, it's like getting existential again for a second. It's like the lineages that we all come from. Like it just gets so much better every few years, right? Everybody that's coming in. And it's fascinating to see that. And sometimes the friction of that, right? The one generation that sees the other one coming up with a different time and has different expectations. And then there's the dynamics of that, which I am fascinated by. But it's really beautiful to watch it evolve, and definitely in large part because of people like you. I just have kind of been around all of these different groups forever. And like you have just been such a mainstay part of all of these things as I've been like, what is my path? Where am I going? Like you're always there. And it's so amazing that you have your safe people, right? And these things that you just know are gunning for you to come up and do it well. So I think it is probably getting so much better because it's working, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Thank you for doing all of that because I think it's working.
I hope so. We have a lot to go for the rest of humanity, but at the very least in the audio world, maybe we can make a little more civilized.
Our corner of the world.
How about that?
Man. Well, that was amazing.
What else you got?
Let's get a little lighter for a second. What do you do when you're not doing this work stuff? Tell us about Piper outside of mastering and PMP. What's life and work-life balance like for you these days? I know you don't have a lot of balance, but like when you're not working, what are you doing?
When I'm not working, I do a few weird things. Not a lot of people know this about me, but I actually collect model trains.
Wait.
Yay! I don't think I've ever said that on an interview.
That's fantastic. And so do they like go? Do you have a track?
Yeah, I run my trains. I have a whole room upstairs that's just for the trains.
Hell yeah.
I collect N scale and HO scale.
Okay. I'll look up what that means after this. Have you been to the Sacramento Train Museum?
No, but I'm a member of the Tennessee Railway Museum, Tennessee Central Railway Museum, and I get to actually go. I'm on the maintenance crew, and I get to go work on the big trains and stuff too.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
that's
and we have an N scale and an HO scale club as well, so it's kind of awesome.
So funny.
Yeah,
Steph and I love asking these questions because we always get a different answer,
so fun to get
and
to
then
know
we just have the same reactions. Like that's so cool. Like,
and Steph knows. I mean, Steph knows I ride motorcycles. Like, I'll like if I can get out once in a while, I will. I love to barbecue and smoke meats.
nice.
We have a farmer that we buy sections of pigs and cows from about 20 minutes up the road, and he's amazing. He actually supplies a lot of like the really high-end restaurants in Nashville with ground beef and beef and pork and all that.
God.
And so he sells directly to us. We actually go out to the farm with our cooler and pick everything up and buy directly from him. Shout out to KLD Farms, Kenneth. You're awesome.
What a life. That's pretty awesome.
We live in the woods, like we live in the woods. We have a couple acres out here. The dogs run around in the backyard. Everybody's kind of happy. I really enjoy carpentry. I don't have a lot of time to do it right now, but I have a little shop in the garage. Yeah, I'd say that's about it. We have a little travel trailer that we take out and go, like we'll bomb out to California. Like we're going out to New York and Maine next week. So we try and get out of town. Sometimes we just take the dogs and pull the trailer and go camping, and all that. But
fun.
Otherwise, I think I think that like my internal like drive is as sort of like an inventor and a maker and a creator of some sort. So like no matter what, even if I wasn't mastering records, I'd still be doing something with my hands or creating something. Or I also cross stitch.
That's cool.
I've been wanting to get back into that.
It's
I'm
fun.
gonna do it now.
It's
so
fun.
great.
We should do a bitch and stitch stuff.
Please. Hell yeah. Great. I will be bugging you.
You can come too, Natalie.
Thanks.
Natalie, did you used to cross stitch too? Have you ever had a cross stitch phase?
No.
Well, you will.
I will.
It'll be great. That's amazing.
What else?
Yeah.
I argue with my wife about music taste. That's about it.
Do you have different tastes?
No, well, you have two very educated perspectives in that argument, so that's got to be like never ending.
You're like, you're holding your breath because you don't want to get into it, but I'm like, what's the difference?
Catherine is a walking encyclopedia of experimental music and jazz music. When I'm
Oh.
done after a long day of like mastering or pressing or like dealing with people all day, I want to put on the stupidest bubblegum pop music, like straight to the vein pop music, and Catherine can't handle it. So we meet at Beyonce, and that's it. Beyonce and Madonna.
Love it.
Like,
There you go.
if one of those two things are on, we're both kind of happy. So,
Makes me so
but otherwise,
happy.
like, she listens to the weirdest shit, man. Like, I'll get up some days
experimental
and
stuff is wild.
she like will have this weird Sun Ra record on that like I don't even know. It's just like, or she'll put like bleeps and bloops on and like
Yeah, does she
Sunday
do
morning.
noise?
It's just like
No.
weird. And I walk out, I'm just like, I thought my phone alarm was going off and it was really like something playing on the turntable in the living room.
She's like, is this good? This is awesome.
Yeah. Which I appreciate, like totally. I literally have a degree in like experimental electronic composition from, you know, like that was what my undergrad was technically in. Like I get it all. Like I get the Terry Riley thing. I get the 3 minutes and 33 seconds thing. Like I get it.
But
But,
sometimes you just
like-
gotta have a pop on when you're
Jesus.
gotta turn your brain off. That's amazing. That's so
That's really
amazing.
funny. So we have
Well-
a whole room in the backyard for all of Catherine's records, and then all of my records sit in the living room. And I'm not
That's
allowed to listen to any of them anyway at home. So I come downstairs and work on music.
Oh
Oh,
my God.
oh, well, and that's also just like a fun deviation into right that you two you work in the same field and it's complementary areas of it, but
Yes.
just like
We're very different people. I mean,
Yeah,
as you can,
yeah.
I mean, if you know either of us or know us together, like we're polar opposite humans that somehow still make it work.
and that's probably why it can all, coexist. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can have your own lanes.
Would love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question. What advice do you have for women?
I thought you were just like in general. I'm like,
Just in general.
don't
I'm
eat
trying to
yellow
be
snow.
dramatic.
Like tip your waiter. I don't know.
That's actually fun.
Don't
Natalie. You
stick
should
the
ask that
Q-tip
slow
in that
every
far.
time.
I'm trying to be dramatic.
Blue socks,
I'm
black
just-
pants, not a good idea. I don't
Wait,
know.
okay, quick deviation though. We have to say in the backing up that Piper is the best in investing the next generation. The first time I met you, we were at a Pops and Buzzes thing, just so everybody can know Piper. And I was leaving with a helmet, and you like grabbed me, and you were like, "Are you riding off on a bike?" And I was like, "Just a scooter." You were like, "You need gear. Like you need. Do you have armored pants?" I was like, "No." And you're like, "Get them." Like you were the first person that was
It's
like,
like life or death.
"Yeah, like
serious-
What
you
are
got
you?
serious,
You
Piper.
need more on your body than you have
Like,
right
why
now." I was
are
like,
you?
"Okay."
Yeah.
So, walking advice and walking investment in the next generation, and you're the best.
Well, thanks, bud. Natalie, it was really nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Well, and
Um,
that like
you
other
want
than
the
me, what
advice,
advice
though?
would you
Oh,
give
do you want
to
the advice?
someone
You would
coming
want
up
the
and wanting
advice.
to be a Piper?
Get a hold of a bull.
Mm.
There
Yeah.
are so
Tangible.
many folks, so many folks that I get emails from, whether it's like a potential client or someone who wants to work for me or like someone who wants advice or whatever, and they send me an email or like a Facebook message or something, and I'm just like, well, I mean, I have lots to tell you. I'm not going to sit here and type it all out in an email. Like, I'll give you a call if you want, like, or like we can schedule a time to chat or something. But like, what happens if I wanted to hire you for a job? How would I get a hold of you?
Mhm.
So many opportunities for me came early, like I've only been talking about mastering and pressing on this conversation, but like Steph, I've been a location recording engineer for most of my career. Only in the last few years have I really stopped doing that because of the pandemic. But
Mhm.
if I was trying to get an opportunity for, if I had not had my phone number published, how would KFOG have gotten a hold of me to do all of those crazy, wild recordings I got to do? If I hadn't put my phone number on something, Bob Katz would not have called me and said, I want you to come down to Florida and interview for this gig. Like all of these things where if I had not had a business card that had clear contact information, or if I had not given someone who gave me their business card, if I had not given them an email back right away and said, hey, I'm Piper, nice to meet you at NAM or whatever. If you ever need anything, here's what I know I can do for you. If I hadn't put that information out there and been in a place to receive it, I don't think I would have gotten as far as I have. That's one big bit of advice. Also, obviously all the other normal things. Your reputation is you only get one first impression. Don't get up, be professional, show up, be on time. Don't walk in the studio and tell someone that you're a great mastering engineer when you're trying to get a job working for them as a mastering assistant. If I wanted a mastering engineer, I'd have a business partner. I wouldn't hire someone off the street. If you are trying to learn from someone or you get an opportunity in a studio, understand that that's very rare. And there's a huge line of people waiting right behind you, waiting to watch you fuck up or watch you get kicked out or watch you not take advantage of the opportunity, and they're ready to take it. And then also, if you do get that rare opportunity, the best assistant I've ever had understood that he was there to make my life a little bit easier and free up my time so that at the end of the day, I could teach him what he wanted to learn.
Oh.
And to be able to be more productive as an engineer, because if I work an hour and make $250 or he works an hour and makes $20, the more time he can make for me to work, the more money we have and the more I can pay him, right? The better equipment I can invest in for the studio, the better coffee I can buy, like the more opportunities I have to go out and, sponsor a party or something to bring in more work for everybody. Understanding that if you're an assistant in a studio, yes, it's rare, but also it's a gift that you are given and you need to take advantage of it and help drive that engineer's bottom line, because everybody, I don't care if you are the biggest engineer in the world or someone just starting, we all have bills to pay. We all have families to take care of. We all have to keep the lights on. And there is no such thing as a free lunch in the music industry anymore. Gone are the days of bajillion-dollar studio budgets where you can do a lockout for 3 months and nobody gives a how much cocaine you do on the console. Like that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful studios exist. Beautiful people and beautiful careers exist, but we all are still working our asses off every single day just to make the ends meet. And so if you're given an opportunity in a studio to work for an engineer, no matter who they are, your job is there to make their life easier so that they can teach you and give you opportunities.
That's a really important nuance of like, you are filling a role. You are doing a job. You aren't just like in the half role to learn while you're doing it. Like you are, but you also have things you need to do in that. So do them 100%. And that's
huge pet peeve. Like whenever I walk into a studio and there's an intern there sitting, like reading their Pro Tools book or like just, making coffee or like doing lunch runs, like that's cool. But like, if that's all you've done all day, like what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you there?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, learn something, ask some questions,
Mm-hmm.
ask me who I am. Like, not that I need to tell you, but
take the opportunity. Yeah.
when I worked for a studio, when someone new walked in, oh, hi, who are you? What can I do for you? What can I learn from you? Is really what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Be hungry, everybody. Do the dang thing.
It was beautiful. Everyone take that advice and run with it.
Thank you so much. You're the best.
Well, Piper, thank you.
Amazing.
This was great.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This is really fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Revoicing the Future. You can subscribe to the podcast on all major streaming platforms or visit our website. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Women of NAMM. This episode was co-produced and edited by Natalie Morrison, Stephanie Lamond, and Julia Olsen. Together, we can help shape the future of our industry, one interval at a time. See you next time.